पिछले श्लोक में
In the
भगवान ने
previous verse, Bhagavan said,
हर एक व्यक्ति अपने स्वभाव का
every person
सदृश
follows his swabhava.
स्वस्या प्रकृतिर ज्ञानमपि प्रकृतिम यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किम करिष्यति। और उन्होंने कहा कि बाह्य रूप से आप अपनी इंद्रियों को
Bhagavan
दबाएं
said that externally you can
तो उससे
train your senses, but that is of no use.
प्रश्न आता है कि अगर सब प्रकृति से
So then
होता
the
है
question may be raised, if everything is done by Prakriti,
हमारा तो वास्तव में कोई कर्तव्य नहीं रहा, हमारा कोई उत्तरदायित्व
then
नहीं
what
है।
is our responsibility?
मन में आता है वो प्रकृति के अनुसार ही आता है, तो वो हमको करना
Whatever
चाहिए।
comes to our mind is according to Prakriti, and then we should do that. And modern people also think like that.
निषेध बताया कि ऐसा
So the prescriptions and prohibitions which are given in Shastra, or whatever instructions are given in Shastra,
उनका क्या
what is their use?
और अगर सब स्वभाव
And if everybody functions according to his swabhava only, then what will be the difference between human being and animal? Because animals function according to their swabhava. Animals never do anything against their swabhava. If an animal is vegetarian from birth, it will remain vegetarian. If an animal is non-vegetarian, it will remain non-vegetarian. Whatever is once prescribed food, the animals eat that only. So if humans also work like this, then what will be the difference between them and animals? But we see that human beings change. Vegetarians change to non-vegetarians, non-vegetarians change to vegetarians. When a child is born, he doesn't smoke cigarette, but when he grows up, he smokes cigarette, consumes wine, other he gets addicted to various types of intoxicants, gets into bad habits, so becomes so much addicted that he can't even give up. So he was not born with that swabhava.
बदलाव आ सकता है।
So this shows that some change is possible in human being.
पर भगवान यहाँ चर्चा कर रहे हैं कि किस
So
प्रकार
Bhagavan is discussing about that only, that how a human being should lead his life
जीवन में
so
प्रसन्न
that
रह सके,
in this life he can live
इस जीवन के
peacefully,
बाद में
and after
दोबारा
this
से
life,
संसार सागर में ना पड़े।
and after at the end of this life he may not have to take birth again here.
राग द्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्न वशम आगच्छेत् तौ हि यस्य परिपन्थिनो। ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण
This is a very important verse and very practical verse to be applied in our life.
कहते हैं कि इंद्रियों का राग
Translation: attachment and aversion pertaining to the sense faculties are rooted in their corresponding sensory objects.
नहीं आना चाहिए,
One should not come under the sway of such attachment and aversion, for they are impediments to the spiritual aspirant.
तो पशु पक्षी में और मनुष्य में ये अंतर
So,
होता है कि वो
this is the difference between human beings and animals.
अगर उनका राग
Animals,
भी तो स्वभाव ही
they do not function by raga dvesh. Even if you see some raga dvesh, that is their swabhava only. But human beings get implicated in raga dvesh.
भाव को तो उन्होंने कहा था कि आप बदल नहीं सकते हैं, लेकिन जो
So Bhagavan had said that you cannot change your swabhava, but whatever you do according to your swabhava, do not do that with raga and dvesh, with attachment and aversion. So pantha is marg, that is road, and the obstacles or the speed breakers on the road,
संस्कृत में परिपंथी।
they are known as paripanthi.
तो आजकल देखते हैं ना कि बड़े जगह जगह जो है
So nowadays we see that there are so many speed breakers on the road, so then you have to slow down your vehicle. So that is paripanthi, that is the obstacle on the road.
तो उनके वश में ना आए।
So we should not come under the sway of such
आने का मतलब है कि
obstacles, attachment and aversion. Not coming under the sway means not functioning, being influenced by raga and dvesh. Whatever is prescribed for us, we should do that. What is prohibited, we should not do that. But not out of raga dvesh.
क्या है
So what is this raga dvesh? We have to understand this properly.
तो ये दो प्रकार का है राग और
So raga dvesh, they are of two types. One is raga dvesh. Raga dvesh means
अनुकूल लगता है,
that some object appears favorable to us. Whatever is favorable gives us sukha. So because it is favorable to us, we want it more. That is attachment. This is called raga.
जिससे हमको सुख प्राप्त होता है,
that
जिससे
which
हमको
gives
अच्छा
us
लगता है,
sukha, which
उसमें
gives
हमारा
us
ध्यान लगता है।
happiness,
और
gives
जो
pleasure.
हमको अच्छा
So we
नहीं
become
लगता
attached to that. And that which does not give us
उससे
happiness or
हमें
gives us pain,
दूर हटना चाहते हैं,
we want to avoid that.
शत्रु है हमारे,
That is unfavorable
तो
to
उससे
us.
हमें द्वेष रहता है,
So we have
जिसको हम छोड़ना चाहते हैं,
aversion
जिससे
for
दूर
that or
हटना चाहते
hatred
हैं,
for
उसके
that.
संपर्क में
We
नहीं
want
आना
to
चाहते,
stay away from that or some person
क्योंकि उससे हमको दुख होता है।
because that gives us
अनुकूलम
pain.
पुण्यम दुखम, दुख क्या है?
That is
जिससे हमको
unfavorable to
दुखता
us.
का अनुभव होता है, वो दुख है।
Whatever
जिससे
gives
हमको आनंद
unfavorable
का अनुभव
feeling
होता है, वो
is
सुख है।
dukkha. Whatever gives us favorable
उससे
feeling is
द्वेष
sukha.
होता है,
And
दुख को हम
dukkha
नहीं
leads
चाहते
to
हैं, तो
dvesha.
दुख से हमारा द्वेष है।
Pain leads to
सुख को
aversion
हम चाहते
of the
हैं,
object.
उससे हमारा राग है।
We want sukha, we want
तो
happiness. That's
राग
why we
द्वेष
have
जो है
attachment
वो
for
सुख
that.
और दुख से है, अनुकूलता
So
प्रतिकूलता
actually,
से है,
raga and dvesh are with
और उनके
sukha and
संस्कार हमारे
dukkha,
अंदर पड़े हुए हैं।
and we have those
तो ये
samskaras
राग
within.
द्वेष दो प्रकार के हैं।
This raga dvesh is of two
एक वो
types.
हैं
One is that
जो जिनको हम कह सकते हैं कि वो स्वाभाविक हैं,
which is natural,
यानी कि वो हमारे सत्ता के लिए, हमारे जीवन के लिए आवश्यक हैं। अगर वो ना होंगे
which is
तो हम
required
नहीं
for
जी
our
पाएंगे,
existence. If we
जी
do not
सकते।
have that, we cannot exist.
अगर कोई बहुत
For
गर्म चीज
example,
है, उस पर आपका हाथ
if
लग जाए
something is very
तो आप
hot and
अपना
you touch
हाथ
that,
जरूर हटाएंगे।
immediately you will pull away your hand.
क्यों? क्योंकि वो आपको अच्छा नहीं लगता।
Why? Because you do not like that.
जीवन
So
के लिए आवश्यक है,
this is required for sustenance of
हमने
our
इसका कोई
life.
अभ्यास नहीं किया है,
We have not
इससे हम
practiced
पैदा
this.
होते हैं।
We are born with
हर एक
this.
इंद्रिय, हमारी
Every
जितनी भी इंद्रियां
sense,
हैं, उनको कुछ विषय
all the senses that we have,
ठीक नहीं लगते हैं,
they like something and they
ज्यादा
do not
गर्म
like
पदार्थ है
something. If
तो वो
something is
पसंद नहीं करते हैं,
very
ज्यादा
hot,
ठंडी
we
है
do
तो
not
उसको
like
पसंद
that.
नहीं
If
करते
something is very cold, we do not like that.
हैं। बहुत ज्यादा गर्म में भी हमारा द्वेष है,
So we
बहुत
have
ज्यादा
dvesha
ठंडी में भी
for
हमारा द्वेष
something
है।
that is too hot
लेकिन
as
ये
well
जो
as too
द्वेष
cold.
है,
But this dvesha
जो ना ज्यादा गर्म है ना ठंडी है, उसमें हमारा राग है, ये हम
and the raga or
अपने
attachment
अभ्यास
that we have for
अभ्यास जनित
something that is
संस्कार
of
हैं,
balanced
जिसको
temperature,
राग द्वेष
we
कहते
have
हैं।
not
इससे
practiced
हमें
this
पैदा
raga
होते
dvesh.
हैं,
We are
ये हमारी
born with
सत्ता के
this.
लिए,
This
हमारे
is
जीवन के लिए
required
आवश्यक है।
for our life
इसी
sustenance.
प्रकार हमारी सारी इंद्रियां हैं,
Similarly, all
जो
our
देखती हैं वो
senses,
हमको पसंद नहीं है,
if
क्योंकि
we
वो
if
हमारे शरीर के लिए
smell something
हानिकारक है।
and we may not
इसलिए
like
वो
that
हमको
because it is not good for our body, naturally
पसंद
we
नहीं
stay
करती है,
from that. If
वो हमको
some
अच्छा
sound
नहीं
is
लगती है।
some too
भोजन
loud, we may not
स्वादिष्ट
like
है,
that.
वो हमको
If
अच्छा
some
नहीं लगता
food
है,
is
थोड़ा
too
तीखा है,
bitter,
अच्छा नहीं लगता है,
we not like that.
क्योंकि वो हमारे स्वास्थ्य के लिए, हमारे जीवन के
Why?
लिए
Because
हानिकारक है।
for our health, for our life
और
sustenance,
कुछ
it may
चीजें
be
हम बर्दाश्त
dangerous.
करते हैं क्योंकि वो स्वाभाविक ही हमारे लिए ठीक है।
And some there are some things which we
तो
naturally
ये
like.
हमारा स्वाभाविक राग द्वेष है,
So this is
इससे कोई
natural
समस्या नहीं है।
ragadvesh, which does not cause
दूसरा
any
एक राग
problem.
द्वेष होता है जो
The
संस्कार
other
से आता है,
ragadvesh is born from
जिसका
samskaras,
हमने अभ्यास किया है।
which we have
जैसे लोग
practiced. Like
किसी धूम्रपान के, सिगरेट बीड़ी के आदी हो जाते हैं, या
like
शराब पीने
somebody
लगते हैं,
becomes addicted
तो
to
उनको आदत
smoking,
पड़ जाती है उसकी,
drinking.
वो अच्छा लगने लगता है। तो पहले अच्छा नहीं
So
लगता था उनको,
they may become addicted to
लेकिन
that.
जब धूम्रपान करता है तो उसको
First
अच्छा
time
लगता
they
है,
did not like
हंसी
that.
आएगी, आंख में आंसू आ जाएंगे, लेकिन वो अभ्यास करते करते उसको अच्छा लगने लगता है, उसमें उसका राग हो जाता है फिर। तो ये जो है, ये अभ्यास जनित राग द्वेष है। तो
So this
इसी
is
प्रकार
ragadvesh that is born from practice, abhyas.
जो विषय में
So
हम
similarly, he
जिस
says
प्रकार के राग द्वेष
that
की बात कर रहे हैं,
the ragadvesh that Bhagavan is speaking of is this ragadvesh which is born from samskaras, which we have practiced.
तो हम अपने
So we should
स्वभाव
not
में,
fall under the sway of this type of ragadvesh.
जैसा पिछले श्लोक में उन्होंने कहा था कि हम स्वभाव का अतिक्रमण नहीं कर सकते
So
हैं,
in the previous verse, he had said that we cannot
लेकिन उसमें राग और
surpass
द्वेष
our
का संबंध है,
swabhava. But then at the same
क्योंकि
time, he
राग
also says that we should not get
इसलिए मत
implicated
करो
in
कि अपने
ragadvesh.
अनुसार काम करो,
Because in the upcoming verses, he will say that work according to your
हमारा
swadharma.
जो कर्तव्य कर्म है उसको हम करें,
So whatever is our prescribed
जो
duty, we should
शास्त्र
do
में
that.
विहित है उसको हम करें,
Whatever is prescribed in Shastra, we should do
उससे
that.
हमको लाभ होगा,
So that will be beneficial to
क्योंकि
us.
शास्त्र जो है वो हमारे
Because
श्रेयस के लिए है।
Shastra is for our benefit.
हमें अपने जीवन के बारे में बहुत कम पता है।
We know very little about our life, what will be beneficial for us,
मनुष्य को
what is actually of benefit to us. Human beings do not know much about this,
शास्त्र हमको ये
but
बताता है।
Shastra advises us.
जैसे आप कोई उपकरण खरीदें, गैजेट,
Like if
तो
you
उसके
purchase
साथ
any gadget,
पुस्तिका आती है,
along with that you get a manual
कैसे उपयोग करना है
how to use that,
और कैसे उसको उपयोग नहीं करना है। अगर वो
or
120
and
वोल्ट
how
पे चलता है
not
तो
to
उसको
use that. If it
108 वोल्ट
operates
पे
under
में बनाना है,
220 volts, do not
110 वोल्ट
plug
पे
it
चलती
into
है
300
तो
volts.
120 में
If
डालना
something
है।
works under
तो क्या है,
110 volts, do not plug
तो
it in
इसको
a
बनाने
socket
का
of
ढंग ऐसा
220
नहीं
volts,
है जो
otherwise it will
उपकरण
burn.
है,
Similarly, our
उसका
body is
डिजाइन
also
किसी ने
a
बनाया था।
machine, an instrument which has
तो
been
इसी
designed by
प्रकार भगवान ने
Bhagavan.
हमको एक पुस्तिका दी है
So,
कि
along with
कैसे
that, he
उपयोग
has
करना,
given
कैसे
a
उपयोग
manual
नहीं करना,
how to
और
use
शास्त्र
it
वो
and
चीज
how
बताता है
not to
कि
use
क्या
it.
क्या गलत है, क्या
So
क्या
that is what
सही है, क्या
Shastra
क्या गलत
teaches.
है।
What should be
उसका
done, what
प्रयोग
should not be done. We
आपको करना
naturally do not know that.
है। आप नहीं
If
जानते
we
तो आप
get
उसको
any gadget, you do not know
गैजेट
how to
उसको
operate it. How will you understand what is the correct way
पानी
of
में डाल
using
देंगे
it?
तो बेकार हो जाएगी,
You may
पानी अंदर चला
immerse
जाएगा,
it in water
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक
and the gadget may get destroyed
तो
if
इसलिए
it's an
हाई
electrical
टेम्परेचर
equipment.
या बहुत ज़्यादा गर्म जगह या मैग्नेट के पास, इससे लिखते हैं ना उस प्रकार से।
Like in some
तो
equipments,
ध्यान
it is
रखना है
written,
कि
do
कैसे
not bring
यूज
it
करना
near
है।
any magnet. So the one who has
उसके बाद
designed the instrument knows
हमारी
what may cause harm to that
उस
equipment.
चीज का अच्छा
So
असर
similarly, Shastra
बुरा
tells
असर
us
पड़ता है तो
what
हमको शास्त्र
gives
बताता है।
what is
उसका बहुत
beneficial to
महत्व है।
our mind, our intelligence, what is harmful, and Shastra
इसलिए
tells all this for our own benefit.
आवश्यक है
That is why it is very
संस्कृत
important
में
to
न्याय
have
बोलते हैं कि
knowledge
बलवद
of Shastra.
अनिष्ट
In Nyaya,
अनुबंधित्व ज्ञानाभाव जिसका होगा तो वो विहित कर्म को नहीं करेगा, निषिद्ध निषिद्ध को करेगा।
so
यानी
such
कि
a
इस
person,
बलवद अनिष्ट के जो काम आप कर रहे हैं उसको करने से आपको कुछ लाभ होता दिखाई देता है, लेकिन उसका जो अनुबंधी है, उसका जो परिणाम है वो बहुत हानिकारक है। तो शास्त्र कहता है उसको मत करो।
the Shastra
जैसे
says do not do that. Like say
भोजन
there is food, nice food.
मीठा मिठाई तो आप
It
उसको
may be
देखते
sweet,
हैं,
and you see
केक है,
that.
चॉकलेट है,
Let's say there is a cake or a
तो
chocolate.
देख के लगता
So
है
you
मैं खा
see
लूं,
and you desire
आपको पता है
to
कि
eat
स्वाद अच्छा है,
because you know it
लेकिन
tastes
अगर कोई
nice.
आपको बताए कि इसमें
But
जहर
if
मिला हुआ
somebody
है
says that
तो
there is
आप खाएंगे?
poison in that, will you eat?
नहीं खाएंगे।
You will not eat.
कोई मूर्ख ही खाएगा,
Some fool only
जिसको
will eat.
थोड़ी भी बुद्धि होगी, अगर उसको पता चल
One
जाए
who
कि
has
इसमें
even little
तेल है,
intelligence, and if he comes to know that
हानिकारक
there
वस्तु
is
मिली हुई है, केमिकल
some
या जहर मिला हुआ है, तो
dangerous
वो
element, some
अलग ही
chemical or poison inside the cake, he will not eat. Although that is also sweet,
उसमें मीठा मीठा भी है, वो अच्छा टेस्ट
that
उसका,
poison may
लेकिन
have
जहर
sweet
भी है।
also.
तो जहर तो आपको दिखता नहीं है, स्वाद तो आप
So you can't
देख
see
सकते हैं,
the
टेस्ट
poison,
तो पता नहीं चलेगा ना
you
आपको।
can feel the taste, but
जहर
you
का
do
तो
not
effect बाद में
understand the
आएगा,
poison. The
स्वाद तो
poison's
तुरंत
effect
आता है।
will come later. Taste
तो
will be
वास्तव में
experienced
ऐसा होता है कि
immediately.
हम अपने जो
So generally, this is what
स्वभावतः जो
happens
चीज हमको अभी अच्छी लगती है उसको
by our
संस्कृत में
swabhava.
आपात रमणीय कहते
Whatever we like in Sanskrit, that is known as
हैं। बड़ी
apataramaniya.
अट्रैक्टिव आकर्षक लगती है तो
It
हम उसको
appears very
सेवन
attractive
करते हैं, लेकिन उसका
immediately.
परिणाम गलत होता है। तो शास्त्र उसी को
So
बताता
we
है कि
consume
बलवद
that,
अनिष्ट
but later
अनिबंधित,
it gives
उसका
harmful
परिणाम जो
effect.
है वो अनिष्ट
So
होगा,
Shastra teaches
हानिवान है।
that
तो
these
अगर
such
हम
and such substances
शास्त्र कर्म से
will
नहीं
have
करेंगे
very dangerous effect later.
तो
So
फिर
when we have proper knowledge of that,
करते हैं
then we will
तो
not
वही बात
associate with
कि
such
कर्म करने से
things.
आपको क्या होगा।
So this is what Shastra teaches. This,
तो
if you
हमारे
use
शास्त्रों
this
में
or if you do this,
दुनिया
what
की,
will be
ग्रहों
the
की,
damage that will
देवताओं की,
happen later?
ये इसी
So
को दिखाने के
whatever
लिए कहते हैं
stories we
कि
have in
ऐसे ऐसा
Shastra,
करें,
stories of
ऐसा करें
devatas,
तो
asuras,
उसका
they
परिणाम
are
ये
meant to
होगा।
teach that only, how the asuras perform
अच्छे कार्य
prohibited
जो हम
activities
करते हैं
and what
राजनीति में,
result they
उसका
face.
परिणाम क्या
Whatever
होगा,
nice activities,
चाहे वो
the
महाभारत के
prescribed
बारे में पढ़
activities
लें, चाहे
devatas do, sages do,
वैदिक
what is their
इतिहास,
result? Whether it is Mahabharata,
ये
Ramayana,
सारा इतना
Puranas,
ही है।
whatever
वादीवत वर्तते
leelas are there,
रावणवादीवत, कि
this is
राम के
their
तरह व्यवहार
essence,
कीजिए, रावण की तरह
that
व्यवहार मत
behave
कीजिए।
like Ram, not like
तो
Ravana.
शास्त्र हमको ये केवल विधि निषेध ही बताता है।
So
शास्त्र
Shastra
का जो
is simply
सार है
teaching prescriptions and prohibitions. What is to be done and what is not to be done, or what is to be avoided. Because we do not know that.
तो हम पशुवत जीवन जिएंगे
If
और
we
कष्ट
simply work according to our prakriti, then our life will be like animals and we will become miserable. Actually, animals don't suffer as much as human beings suffer. Animals do not need any hospital or any court or police or army.
कोई आवश्यकता नहीं,
They do not need all this.
ना स्कूल कॉलेज जाना पड़ता है, कुछ नहीं।
They do not have to go to any school or college, but they live normally. They do not fall sick like us.
तो हम वास्तव में पशुवत भी नहीं जी सकते हैं।
So actually, we don't even live like animals. Actually, even if we live like animals, society will function normally because animals do not attack anybody else unnecessarily. It is not that animals of one forest attack the animals of other forest in order to gain control there. It doesn't happen like that. Or they go to some other forest to steal something. So actually, human beings can't even live like animals. That is why there are so many problems in the society, because we do not follow Shastra, and without Shastra we cannot even live like animals. So we are worse than animals. This is called Asura. So Asura means one who just lives in his prana, one who always derives pleasure in his own prana, his own sense enjoyment. Nothing more than that. That is Asura. So Shastra teaches us how we can change our pravrittis, our inclinations, our lifestyle. Now,
जो काम है, इन्होंने भगवान ने कहा कि राग द्वेष अर्थ में है।
Bhagavan says that Raga Dvesh are in Artha, the sense objects.
राग द्वेष की विषय में है। व्यवस्था
That's
मतलब
attachment and aversion. They are rooted in their corresponding sensory objects. So whatever is favorable, there you have Raga. Whatever is unfavorable, there you have Dvesha. But in reality, Raga Dvesh are not in the sense objects. Bhagavan is telling this to give us a very gross vision or understanding. Because if Raga Dvesh would have been in the sense objects, everybody would have a Raga for that particular object or Dvesh. Like in sugar, there is sweetness. So sugar will taste sweet for everyone. In salt, there is salty taste. So it will taste salty for everyone. It is not that for some people, sugar tastes salty, for some people, sugar tastes sweet. It doesn't happen like that. But we see when in the case of sense objects, that the one particular sense object, for one particular sense object, one person may have attachment, other may have aversion. Somebody likes drinking wine and somebody hates even the smell of wine. Somebody derives a lot of pleasure in meat eating, but somebody else, the other person, may start vomiting even by seeing meat. So if Raga Dvesh would have been in the object, but because of the sense object, the Raga Dvesh appears. That's why it is explained like that. So is Raga Dvesh in our Indriyas? Actually, Raga Dvesh are not even in the Indriyas, not even in the senses. Because Raga Dvesh, that keeps changing. Because in the senses, if there would have been Raga for some object, then always we would have attachment for that. But we see that some things that we liked in our childhood, now we do not like that. Earlier we liked some type of music, but now we do not like that. Earlier we liked some people, but now we do not like that. Some activities or some type of food that we did not like earlier, now we may like that. So if we would have Raga for in the Indriyas, then we would always have Raga for that particular object. So then the question is, where is the Raga Dvesh? It is in the mind. Bhagavan also said,
मन में गए हुए हैं ये काम, काम मतलब राग, काम क्रोध जो शब्द दो प्रयोग किए
Kama
जाते
means
हैं,
raga. The Kama and Krodh, which are explained in Shastra, they are offspring of Raga and Dvesh only. Kama is from Raga and Krodh comes from Dvesh.
देखते हैं कि किसी के प्रति हमारी प्रीति हो जाती है,
So is it in the mind? So it is not like that also, because we see for some people, sometimes we are friend, then we are enemy.
रहता है,
Earlier there was so much of love between two brothers, but later they become enemies.
माँ बाप के साथ ऐसे हो जाता है।
It may happen with parents also.
कि एक व्यक्ति ने
Now I just read news recently that a person,
और
he murdered
सोते समय
his sister, mother and father. It was just 2 days back. Why?
कि वो कुछ गेम खेल रहा था,
Because he was playing some game on his mobile phone.
देर हो गई तो
It was too late,
कहा कि ये बंद कर,
and the father said, "Stop this and
उसको
go to
बहुत
sleep."
गुस्सा है,
So he became so angry.
उसको तीनों को सोते समय मार दिया।
So at the night when all three were sleeping, he murdered them.
तो अब पहले जब वो बच्चा था, ये तो अभी
So earlier, when he was a child, before this state, this person was some
लेकिन
adult,
बचपन में माँ बाप
but when he was child,
प्यार किया,
then he must have loved his
और आज वो
sister and parents so much. But now he murdered them. So it happened with mind only.
उसके क्रोध आया,
He became angry.
मन जिसमें पहले राग था वो
First there was anger in the mind. Earlier there was raga, but now there was anger.
बदलते रहता
So this raga dvesh keep changing in the mind also.
है। जिस व्यक्ति के
There is
प्रति
duality.
राग है, उसी के प्रति द्वेष भी हो जाता
Earlier we may have raga for one person, then later we get
है,
dvesh.
थोड़ा चुप होके बैठा रहता है,
When raga is there, then dvesha remains silent. But when dvesha appears, then raga remains silent.
लेकिन अगर वास्तव में राग मन में ही
But
होता
actually, if raga was in the mind only,
और द्वेष ही होता तो द्वेष ही होता,
then there would be raga only and not dvesh. Or if there was dvesh, there would be dvesh only. So raga dvesh are not in the mind also.
इनका
So then the question is, where
मूल स्रोत
are raga and dvesh situated? So the main root cause of raga and dvesh, that is avidya,
तरीके से पतंजलि जी ने अपने योग
which
सूत्र में
has been explained in an excellent manner by Patanjali Rishi.
अस्मिता, राग, द्वेष, अभिनिवेश, पंच क्लेश, 5 क्लेशों का जो
So he
वर्णन करते
explains
हैं,
5 kleshas.
तो उनमें राग द्वेष
There,
तीसरे और चौथे हैं,
raga and dvesh are third and fourth respectively.
स्रोत यानी कि
And their origin
वो है अविद्या,
is avidya.
और अविद्या का मतलब है अपने स्वरूप का
And avidya means
अज्ञान,
ignorance of our own swarupa.
आत्मा हूँ ये अज्ञान,
I am Atma,
और मैं
not knowing this,
ये ज्ञान,
that I am Atma,
यही अविद्या,
and knowing, thinking
के दो
that I am body. So avidya is of two types. One is avaran and other is vikshep.
स्वरूप
By
ज्ञान
avaran,
आवृत हो जाता है,
our swarup gyan gets covered, and vikshep
प्रकट हो जाता है,
means what we are not, that appears to us.
ग्रंथि बोलते हैं।
So this is known as chit jad granthi.
आत्मा जो चेतन है,
Atma, which is conscious, it assumes itself to be jada or matter. So this is avidya, and this gives rise to asmita. Asmita means the I-ness, and the raga dvesh begin from there only.
तो ये इसका मूल स्रोत है,
So this is the root cause of raga and dvesh.
अनुकूल सब उस अहंता में बैठे रहते हैं,
So this favorable and unfavorable, they are all situated in the ahamta, the I-ness.
उसके बाद में राग
When we think ourselves to be the body, then there is raga and dvesh.
राग द्वेष से ही हमारी अहंता का पोषण भी होता है,
And raga and dvesha, they get nourishment from our ahamta, the I-ness.
उसको हम
When we are angry towards somebody,
एक बड़ा
we may beat that person
मैं कौन हूँ,
and we may kick that person, and we may feel very
तो आप
we may feel very proud that I hit that person, I kicked that person so nicely. So
टॉनिक है,
raga and dvesh, they are tonic for the ahankara.
चलते हैं,
They appear from there and they nourish the ahankara.
तो उससे फिर आदमी बहुत अपने को सोचता है कि मैंने कुछ कर लिया, वास्तव में किया हुआ
Due
कुछ
to
नहीं है।
that, the human being thinks that I have achieved something great in life. Actually, he has achieved nothing great. He has caused harm to himself only.
होता है, वहां से फिर ये बुद्धि
So
आते हैं,
their origin is the ahamta, the ahankar.
इंद्रियों में आते हैं और फिर विषय।
So then they appear in the mind,
यहाँ क्या
and
कहते
then
हैं,
in the senses, and then in the sense objects.
आगे इसी अध्याय में कहेंगे इंद्रियाणि मनोबुद्धि
Later in this chapter,
इसी
Bhagavan will
अध्याय में
say
आगे जाके
in the same chapter
कि इंद्रिय मन और बुद्धि
later that
इसके अधिष्ठान है,
Indriya,
बैठने का
mind,
स्थान है, राग
and buddhi, they are the seats of Raga Dvesh.
प्रजहाति यदा कामान मनोगतान।
Earlier he told about the mind.
तो पहले मन में बताया,
First he said that they are in the mind,
वास्तव में अविद्या है,
but actually their main origin, their root cause is avidya only.
तो उसको हमें समझना है
So that is what we have to understand
कहाँ से आते हैं। इसलिए
from where they
उसके
arise.
मन को आप समझ सकते हैं उसके राग द्वेष को देखकर।
So you can understand the mind of a person by understanding his raga dvesh, and you can even infer something about his previous birth, because samskaras are carried forward from previous births, and some samskaras are newly created in this life, and whatever is coming from the previous birth, when we function according to that, then they become more strong.
कोई नियंत्रण ना रखें और फिर ऐसे
If we do not keep a control over them.
पोषण उनका हो जाता है।
So similarly, this cycle continues, and if the samskaras are nourished and they become very strong, then you will not get the human body, you will get an animal body which is very much suited for that strong samskara.
ये एक प्रकार से
All these animal species which are there, they are nothing but different kinds, different states of the mind. Because according to the state of mind, we get the next body. So the body is given according to the bhava, whether it is cow or dog or cat. They all have their own vrittis, states of mind.
शरीर में वो बदल नहीं सकते और उसका जो
So they cannot
प्रवृत्ति है,
change in that body. So they function according to that vritti only. Because earlier when they were in the human body, they had that type of desire. So that is why Bhagavan gives a body which is suitable for that particular vritti which is very strong. Because if you are in the human body, then people will always accuse you, you are very angry, you are this or that. But then if you become a snake, then no matter how much anger you display, nobody will accuse you that, oh, you are so angry. So because you're a snake, then snake will function like that only. Or if somebody is a dog, then dog's nature is to bark. Nobody will criticize him for that. So Bhagavan gives a suitable body according to the strong vritti of the person.
और ये इंद्रिय से
So we have to understand Rag Dvesh properly.
प्रत्येक इंद्रिय या ये समझिए कि कर्म इंद्रिय और ज्ञान इंद्रिय दो प्रकार की इंद्रियां, तो
So two types of senses are there, the knowledge acquiring senses and the action oriented senses.
वो है जिसकी आंख है,
So the Gyanendriyas, the knowledge acquiring senses, they see. Karmendriyas, they are blind. So, but they both function together.
लंगड़ा है
So blind and lame, they work together.
वो अंधे के कंधे पर बैठ जाता है
So the lame person is sitting on the shoulders of the blind
वो चलता है। तो
person. So the lame person directs the blind person, and the blind person walks according to the direction.
आंख है लेकिन उसके पैर नहीं है, कर्म
So the Gyanendriyas, they have the eye, but they cannot walk. Karmendriyas can walk, but they cannot see. So they both work together. So you see that there is a cake. So your hand moves ahead. So hand cannot see and eyes cannot grab. So eye and hand, they work together.
अगर एक ही होता
If it would have been one only,
उसको भूत बोलते हैं,
then how do you work? So then that person is called a ghost. The ghost can see but cannot do anything. That's why the ghost suffers miserably. You can assume that you can see the cake, but you do not have hands to pick up the cake. That is why children want to grow up so that they can control others. That's why Bhagavan speaks twice.
अब इसमें वो कहते हैं कि इनके वश में मत आइए आप.
So Bhagavan says, do not
परिपंथी
come under the control of this Raga Dvesh because they are obstacles,
परिपंथी का मतलब होता है डाकू.
roadblocks.
डाकू भी तो रास्ते में आपको
So Paripanthi also means the dacoits. They stop you on the road and they will plunder your wealth. One is thief and other is dacoit. What is the difference between a thief and a dacoit? Thief steals in hiding. You won't realize there is a thief. But dacoit loots in the daylight.
कंट्रोल करके
So he will control you and he will plunder your wealth.
चोर बोलते हैं. तो अब इस लुटेरे को आप प्यार से अपने अंदर रखे हुए हो.
So you have given a nice safe place to this dacoit in your heart.
द्वेष को भगवान कहते हैं कि लुटेरे हैं.
Bhagavan says these Raga and Dvesh, they are dacoits. So they have digitally arrested you.
तो डिजिटल अरेस्ट में क्या होता है?
So what happens in digital arrest that the person, the criminal, he scares you,
हानि करेगा.
but he will not scare you in a way that he will cause some damage to you. He will say that, see, you are going to go to jail, you have done this crime, so now you should listen to me and you transfer so and so amount to me and then I will take care of your problem.
किसी को मत बताना है.
And do not tell to anybody else.
चुपचाप रहना और हर एक घंटे
Remain quiet and every hour give me report where you are, what you are doing.
तो अभी और हमारी बात सुनो बस.
And just listen to me.
बात मत करो.
Do not talk to anybody else.
भी ऐसे ही है.
So Ragadvesha are like these criminals only. We have given them nice, comfortable place in our heart as if they are very respectable. Not even guests. We treat them as our relatives and we do not want to show to anybody that we have raga and dvesh for such person. So if you have dvesh envy for somebody, will you tell that person that you are jealous of him or her? So fools are those who come under the sway of such criminals. Similarly, we are also fools because we have come under the control of these two criminals, Raga and Dvesh, and we do not even bother to get out of their clutches. Why we do not try? Because we actually treat these two as our well-wishers. One who has digitally arrested you, you actually treat that person as your well-wisher. So you will obviously not speak against that person, even if somebody else tells that no, he is a criminal, then you will say no, he is a nice person. How can you speak like that? So if you show to somebody that what you are doing is wrong, this is against Shastra, then you immediately reply, no, how can you speak like this? What I am doing is actually for my own benefit. If I drink wine, my tension goes away. Then only I can work. Otherwise, with all that tension, I cannot work. So they will give all kinds of bogus excuses. So this is how people get fooled. Their intelligence is kept stolen away. That's why Bhagavan is saying that do not come under the control of this Raga Dvesh. So they will approach you, but you do not bow down to them. So what is the solution? The solution to protect oneself from Raga and Dvesh is to use Buddhi. Bhagavan has given us Buddhi.
पहले ही उन्होंने सूत्र हमको बता दिया है कि आप अपनी बुद्धि का उपयोग कीजिए तो आप.
Earlier only Bhagavan said that use your Buddhi. That is the sutra. Then you will stay safe from these criminals Raga and Dvesh. So using Buddhi means do not support your feelings of Raga and Dvesh. Raga Dvesh will tell you that tell your account number to me, transfer so and so this much amount in my account. Like this they speak in digital arrest. So similarly Raga Dvesh will tell you that purchase this, eat this, behave like this with such person. So do not listen to to the voice of raga and dvesh. Rather, use your buddhi. Whatever decision you take, think that am I taking this decision by the influence of raga dvesh, or because it will actually help me to progress towards achieving my goal. So first of all, our goal should be clear to us. In our spiritual path, our goal is to get atyantika sukha or moksha, or in bhakti, in the path of bhakti, our goal is to achieve Bhagavad Priti. So our goal should be clear to us. When our goal is not clear, then we get implicated in this ragadvesh, because these criminals they give us some they allure us also. They will say that we will give you 15% interest, bank only gives you 5 to 6%, we will give you 15% or 20%. So then you get allured by such offers. Similarly, nothing will happen. Whatever you have, they will take that away also. So similarly, Ragadvesh will take away your human life also. Out of Ragadvesh, you will destroy your life, you will die, and you'll go away empty-handed. And now, how will you do your bhajan sadhan? Because you lost that human form of life. So, whatever decision you take, before implementing that decision, you should sit quietly for 2 minutes and reflect, introspect that whatever I am doing or I am going to do, is it influenced by Ragadvesh? Let's say somebody sends you an email and criticizes you, and now you are replying to that person. So then you should reflect that am I replying because I should reply and it is beneficial to me, or am I replying because I am under the control of dvesha? So you yourself have to reflect that nobody else will come to tell you. You have to reflect that whatever I am speaking to such person, am I speaking out of raga dvesh? Should I speak like this or should I remain quiet? So every moment we have to maintain our awareness to be safe, to stay safe from this raga dvesh. Otherwise, these two criminals, raga and dvesh, they will plunder our entire wealth because they are inside us. They are not coming from outside. Because if criminals come from outside, you may plan that how I will protect myself. But raga dvesh are seated within and they are continuously plundering us. So you have to remain extra aware. So for every decision that you take, first of all, you should sit and ponder that have I again fallen under the control of Ragadvesh? So initially it may be very difficult for you to implement this, but it will be highly beneficial. If somebody criticizes you, uses bad words against you, so you become angry, and then you should reflect that can I stop this anger? So then you may feel that, oh, I will be regarded as a weak person if I control my anger, and the other person will think I am a fool. But then, when you actually control yourself, then you will realize how your strength increases. But people do not want to do like this. So, yesterday, somebody was asking me if somebody behaves like this, what should I do? So, I said, you remain quiet. So, then the other person said, but if he continues, so I replied, no, still you remain quiet. Then he said that, but then he will think that I am incapable. So then I said, no, let him think. So you have to see your own goal. What is your goal? Our war is not with all these people in the society. Our war is against Ragadvesh. When people are criticizing you and then you become angry, so that person is simply showing you that see there is Ragadvesh inside you, that's why you are becoming angry. So you do not become angry on that person. You reflect on yourself, on your own Ragadvesh. And then, but you do not do that, and then you reply to that person, and then what will happen is your samskara of raga dvesh will become even stronger. That means by replying like this, by behaving like this, you are strengthening your raga dvesh. and the Raga Dvesh will be dancing, seeing that this person is under our control. He has become our puppet. So this is how the criminals they work in digital arrest. Slowly, they plunder all your wealth, and they keep scaring you more and more. And then your mind becomes weaker and weaker because you lost your money also, and then now you are bewildered.
कमजोर होते चले जाते
So
हैं
then you
धीरे धीरे।
become weaker and weaker.
लेकिन अगर आप खड़े हो जाएंगे कि नहीं मेरे को राग द्वेष के से प्रभावित
But
होकर काम नहीं
if
करना
you
है,
say stay strong
आपके अंदर
and
आनंद भी आएगा।
determined,
आपको एक
and you are determined
आनंद की
that no, I will not be under the control of Raga Dvesh, then you will feel immense pleasure within. Like suppose be-
तो
you
इस
escape
प्रकार से आपका
from the digital arrest criminals.
आपका
So
मन
how happy you feel?
तो
You feel stronger.
ये हमारे जीवन में जीने की कला है
So this
जो
is the
भगवान
art
श्री
of
कृष्ण
living.
भगवत गीता में हमको सिखा रहे हैं।
What Bhagavan is teaching us in Bhagavad
सबके
Gita.
अंदर बैठे हुए हैं, कोई
Because
किसी
this
को नहीं
Raga
छोड़ रहा
Dvesh,
है।
these two criminals are seated inside
जीवन
everybody.
मुक्त
There
लोग
is
हैं, उनकी बात
nobody in this world except
लेकिन
the
आम व्यक्ति
Jivan Muktas
आम
who
व्यक्ति
are free from Raga Dvesh.
इस संसार में मैंने
So more or less
देखेंगे
everyone is
उनको छोड़
an
करके
ordinary
सबके
person
अंदर
only.
राग द्वेष बैठा हुआ
Jivan
है।
Muktas are extremely rare.
तो इनसे बचना
So
है,
every
इनका
person
त्याग
has
करना है।
to protect
लेकिन क्या
himself or
हम
herself from
लोग
Raga
नहीं
Dvesh.
करते हैं।
If you want your benefit, you have to do this.
चौसठ माला करते हैं,
Otherwise,
मंगल
what
आरती
happens?
करते
We
हैं,
do japa,
लेकिन राग द्वेष
16 rounds, Mangal Arti, we do all these
साधना
activities, but we do not focus on
राग
this
द्वेष पे
Raga
ध्यान नहीं
Dvesh.
देंगे,
Our focus is on
राग द्वेष
sadhana,
का असर नहीं
but
होगा।
not on this Raga Dvesh. Then that sadhana does
मैं
not
पहले से
give
जप कर रहा हूँ,
proper
मुझे नहीं मिल
result.
रहा।
Then we complain that I have been doing japa from a long
मंत्र
time,
तो आपके अंदर
but
भरे
I
हैं,
don't see any result.
गीता तो आपने
So
पढ़ी
how will
है
you see result?
और आप
You
बात
have
कर
not
रहे हैं
studied Gita,
गोविंद लीलामृत।
and you are talking about Govind
ये
Lilamrit.
उन लोगों के लिए जो राग द्वेष से परे हैं,
Govind Lilamrit is for
हम गीता
people
नहीं
who are
पढ़ते,
beyond Ragadvesh. That is Bhagwan's
हम लोग गीता
Leela.
नहीं पढ़ते।
People do not study Gita.
तो ये बहुत प्रायोगिक ज्ञान हम भगवान हमको दे रहे हैं, हमारे लिए दे रहे हैं, किसी और के लिए थोड़े दे रहे
So
हैं।
Bhagavan is giving such practical knowledge.
और उन्होंने ये भी कह दिया कि जो मेरा ये मत नहीं मानता है तो सर्व ज्ञान विमूढ़ान्तान विद्धि नष्टान चेतसे, वो तो नष्ट है, विनष्ट हो गए। अब ये मत सोचना कि नहीं हम तो भगवान के भक्त हैं, हम तो रोज गीता पढ़ते हैं।
So you can say that no, I am a devotee, I daily read Gita. But you may read, but do you actually understand that, and do you actually implement what is being told in Gita? So
जो कि मूल
to
समस्या है,
become free from Raga Dvesh, which
मूल
is the
समस्या नहीं है,
main problem.
समस्या यही है कि हम इनके वश में हो जाते हैं।
There is no other problem. Our only problem in life is being under the control of Raga Dvesh.
जो मैं कहना चाहता था,
The other point what I wanted to speak is
स्वभाव की
that
बात
here Bhagavan is speaking about Swabhava
और इस राग द्वेष से मुक्त होने की बात आई है।
and to be free
एक
from
तो
Raga
ये तरीका
Dvesh.
है जो मैंने बताया,
So one is this method
वास्तव
that
में
I
ये कर्म
said.
योग का तरीका है, लेकिन ये सबको
This
कर्म
is
योग में
actually a Karma Yoga, but it is
और
useful
एक
for
भक्ति
everyone.
मार्ग है,
And in
उसमें
our
एक
path
और
of
तरीका है,
bhakti, in that path,
और
there
वो
is
है
one more
कि आपका स्वभाव जो है
method
तो आप बदल नहीं
that
सकते,
you
लेकिन
cannot
उससे
change
मुक्ति
your
के लिए आप
Swabhava,
बताइए।
but in your Swabhava, you should bring
आप
Seva
क्षत्रिय हैं,
Bhava.
आप ब्राह्मण हैं, आप
You may be a
वैश्य
Kshatriya,
हैं,
Brahmana, IT
आप
engineer,
ज्ञानी हैं,
or
आप
housewife,
बिजनेसमैन हैं,
or businessman,
आप राजनेता हैं, कुछ
or
भी
a
हैं,
politician, or
जो
whatever
भी
you
काम आप
are,
कर रहे हैं,
that is,
लेकिन
you are
उसमें
doing that by your
आपका
Swabhava.
सेवा भाव
But in that
होना चाहिए।
Swabhava, add Seva Bhav, the service mentality.
तो उसमें जब आपका सेवा भाव आ जाएगा तो ये राग द्वेष निकल जाएगा,
So when you will get the Seva Bhav, then
क्योंकि
your Raga
सेवा
Dvesh will
भाव
go away.
दोनों साथ साथ नहीं चल
Because
सकते।
Seva and Raga Dvesh both
अगर आप
cannot
सेवा
live
करेंगे तो राग
together.
द्वेष से नहीं कर सकते।
If you are
उसको
doing Seva, you actually cannot do Seva by Raga Dvesh. Because if you have Dvesh towards somebody, how can you do Seva for that
राग
person?
मत लाइए,
And even if you are doing Seva, you should not bring Raga in your
भाव के
Seva.
विषय से
Because
मुक्त
what
होना है।
happens is, especially in
सेवा
the
करते हैं,
path of Bhakti,
अब सेवा के लिए
people
कुछ
do
पैसा
Seva.
चाहिए, धन चाहिए,
For Seva, you need
तो उसको हम
wealth,
दूसरों
you
से
need some instruments or something, you get them from others, and then you say that I want to do seva, so give me so much money, life membership, donation, I have to make temple. But if you have, if you have, do not have strong seva bhav in you, I mean, you cannot generate it, you can only acquire it by sadhu sangha. So if seva bhava has not arisen, has not appeared in your chitta, then what will happen is, in the name of seva, whatever you are procuring, in- then that will simply nourish your own ahankara, and you will feel pleasure that I did this or I did that, I achieved this, I made such a big temple, I distributed so many books, I wrote so many books, I made so many disciples, I opened so many temples, I gave so many lectures, I read Gita so many times. So this is all about I. So there is no seva. This is a very subtle point. There is no bhakti in this. This is just an abhas of bhakti. It appears like bhakti, but it is not bhakti. And those who do not know what is bhakti, they will be misled into thinking that this person is a great bhakta. But that is just an abhas, because bhakti is a bhav, and bhakti means seva bhav. So until and unless you are have strong understanding, conviction in your heart that I am a servant of Bhagavan. People speak like this, but do you strongly feel this within yourself? So you have to check, do you feel pleasure when you get seva, or do you feel pleasure when people glorify your seva? Many people even complain that nobody is giving me attention, I did so much, but the other person got the credit. So let that other person take the credit. You will get credit from Bhagavan. You want credit from the human society, or you want credit from Bhagavan? This credit from human beings is useless. There is no use of all this credit in bhakti. There is no use of all this, how many temples you made, how many books you wrote, how many disciples you made. Bhakti, in bhakti, the only important factor is how much bhakti bhav you have acquired. And that bhakti bhav means seva bhav. Without seva, what is bhakti? That is just kam. What you were doing earlier, now you are doing same thing by changing your dress. But you are simply nourishing your ahankara only. So this ahamta, what I spoke of earlier, the I-ness, where there is ragadvesh. So ragadvesh is lying very, very deep inside that. So it doesn't go away, come out so easily. It will appear again and again. It's like chewing gum. No matter no matter how much you keep chewing it, it keeps sticking. So ahankar is like that. That's why in bhakti, the first step is sharanagati. Why?
क्योंकि अगर शरणागति नहीं हुई है तो क्या है, आपका अहंकार है, अहंकार से आप जप कीजिए, अहंकार से आप
So if there is no sharanagati, you may do japa out of ahankar, you may do deity service out of ahankara, you may clean the temple out of ahankara, you may make temple out of ahankar. So that is just ahankara, which the ordinary person will not understand, and even you yourself may not understand. You may get bewildered thinking that I am a great bhakta, but in bhakti the parameter is different. That's why bhakti is the deepest psychology. There is no psychology that is deeper than bhakti. What Bhagavan is teaching is all psychology. This level of psychology will not be seen elsewhere. What you see in Gita, in Bhagavatam, in our Shastras. Because here, our Shastras, they attack the root problem, which is the not Chit Jad. Other than our Vedic Shastras, nobody else knows this. Our Vedic Shastras, they teach how to uproot or cut that knot. Until and unless that knot is cut, no matter how much sadhana you do, it is simply nourishing your ahankara. It has no other result. So that is why this seva bhav, in order to acquiring this seva bhav, is the most important thing.
आवश्यकता नहीं है कि मेरे पास इतना पैसा होना चाहिए, मेरे
And
को इतना
everybody can acquire this seva bhav. It does not depend on how much wealth you have, or you have to do this much japa or that. Anybody in any situation can acquire seva bhav.
और एक साधक
So
को
these two processes are there,
एक
and the
भक्ति योग
sadhaka
के
should
साथ
do
में
both.
जागरूकता
One is to remain aware about
और
raga and
जब सेवा
dvesh,
भाव आ जाएगा तो
and
राग
later
द्वेष
when you will get seva
अपने
bhav,
आप
this
दूर
raga
चले
dvesh
जाएंगे,
will leave you
दूर हो
automatically.
जाएंगे।
You will see that they will be running away
इस
from you.
स्थिति तक पहुंचने के लिए
But
हमको
till
इनकी
you reach
सहायता
that
लेनी
stage, you have to
है।
take
कर्म
help.
योग में तो ये अति
So
आवश्यक है,
in karma yoga it is
लेकिन
very
भक्ति योग में
important,
भी आवश्यक है।
but in bhakti yoga also it is important.
भक्ति किसी चीज पर निर्भर नहीं
Although
करती
bhakti does not depend on anything,
है, लेकिन क्योंकि भक्ति को प्राप्त करना आसान नहीं है,
but to
तो इसलिए
acquire bhakti is very
हमें
difficult.
सहायता लेनी चाहिए,
That is why we should
ताकि
take
हम
help
उद्देश्य पर, अपने प्रयोग
from all
पर
sides
पहुंच
so
सकें।
that we remain focused
तो
on our goal.
स्वभाव जो भी
So
जिसका है,
whatever swabhava one
उससे
has,
हम सेवा कर सकते हैं।
whatever swabhava we have, we can do seva with that swabhava. It is not compulsory that you have to be a pujari only
यहाँ पर ही सेवा करनी है,
or do seva in such and such place
भगवान
or
सब जगह
department
है,
only. Bhagavan is
इसलिए
everywhere.
उनकी कहीं भी
Wherever you are,
सेवा
you
की जा
can
सकती है,
do seva.
और
In
उसमें
any
कोई
situation, you can do seva.
हमको रोक
And
नहीं सकता।
no, there cannot be any obstacle to that.
तो आज का
So
प्रवचन यहीं समाप्त करते हैं।
we will stop
प्रश्न
here.
पूछना तो पूछ सकते
If you have any question, you can ask.
आपने बताया कि शरीर मनोवृत्ति के अनुसार से आता है,
Question, you said that
तो ये
body,
मनोवृत्ति
we get body from
कहाँ
the
से,
bhav,
ये
from the
मनोवृत्ति
mental
कहाँ से
state.
आधार है, या हम
So this is
अपने
this
मन
mental
से
state,
मनोवृत्ति बदल सकते हैं, और
can we
वो
change it
भविष्य इससे बदलेगा?
by our power,
हैं। तो ये
or the
संस्कार
future will
और
change?
क्रियाकलापों से ये
Answer,
एक चक्र है।
this world is a
हमारे मन में
works in
भाव
cycle, it's
उत्पन्न
a
होते हैं,
chakra.
हम कर्म करते हैं,
We
कर्म के
get
अनुसार
the
संस्कार बनते
feeling
हैं,
in the mind, according to that we do
भाव बनते
karma,
हैं,
then there is
भाव
samskara again, then bhava, then we have desire, we do karma,
ऐसे चलता है।
and then we get again the sanskaras. Like this the cycle rotates. So
प्रत्येक जगह पर
at every step,
आपको अपना
you
व्यवहार
have to
क्रियाकलाप भी बदलने हैं,
work. At every step you
इच्छाएं
have to
बदलनी हैं, उससे
change
संस्कार बदलेंगे।
your
मूल
actions.
है आपके संस्कार,
The main thing is your
लेकिन संस्कार
samskaras,
तो बाहर से ही आए हैं, अंदर
but
से।
samskaras are coming from outside
बाहर
only,
जो हमने क्रियाकलाप
not
किए
from
हैं,
inside.
जो वासनाएं पाली हुई हैं, वो वासना संस्कार से आती हैं और उनसे फिर और संस्कार बनते हैं। जब
So
हम
the vasanas, they come from samskaras, and then there are more samskaras.
करते हैं उनके अनुरूप,
When we do when we work according to the samskaras, then we get more of that samskara.
नवदीप जी का प्रश्न है, हमें हानिकारक आदतों को त्यागने
Why do we struggle to give up harmful habits despite knowing their consequences? For example, smoking being injurious to health. Why do attachment or raga and aversion or dvesh overpower our intelligence even when we are aware of the outcomes? If we pray to Sri Hari, can he remove our inclinations towards sinful desires, especially when we find ourselves unable to renounce them despite knowing their harm?
तो वो हावी इसलिए हो जाते हैं क्योंकि हमने उनको हावी होने दिया है।
Answer, they overpower us because we have allowed them to overpower us. Like I said earlier, that any person
ही धूम्रपान नहीं करता है,
is not a smoker from birth.
पैदा होता है तो माँ का दूध पीता है, स्वाभाविक।
Any person who is born, he drinks his mother's breast milk. For that, the child does not have to practice. But for smoking, the person has to practice.
कोई व्यक्ति धूम्रपान आरंभ करता है,
And when any person starts smoking, he does not like that.
उसके मुंह में जलन होती है, आंख में
He
आंसू
gets burning sensation in his mouth, his eyes start burning, he may start coughing.
भी वो लगा रहता है,
But still, he continues doing that.
तो फिर उसको आदत हो,
So then he becomes addicted to that.
किया है, अब आप
He becomes habituated. So now you have acquired this raga. How will it leave you?
आपने पैदा किया
You have only given birth to this raga. Now you want to throw it away. It will come back to you only. No? If you have a pet dog, child will still may have ahankara and may not come back. But suppose you have a pet dog. Now you take care of the pet dog nicely for few years, and now you want that pet dog to leave you. Will it leave you? Even if you kick him out, he will come back to you. Even if you beat him, he will come back to you, because you only have cared that dog. Similarly, you only have cared for this raga and dvesh. They are your pet dogs. So then they won't leave you. Where will they leave? Where will they go leaving you? This is what we feel like this. But then we have to work hard to give up this raga dvesh, and you cannot say that I'm incapable. If you think like this, then you cannot leave. You should always think that I am capable of getting rid of this raga dvesh, but I may take some time because I have given shelter to them for a long time. But ultimately, these raga dvesh are samskaras only. They do not have any inherent power. You are empowering them. You fed the dog. Similarly, so with lot of determination, you have to work to get rid of this. In Gita, Bhagavan teaches to practice, but the problem is although we pray to Bhagavan, but internally we maintain our attachment, but we do not pray honestly.
धीर ललित जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें.
Radhe Babaji, thanks for this amazing class, teasing out all these deeper meanings that we normally miss. You spoke about rag and dvesh that is necessary, and I can appreciate that point. And then you spoke of rag and dvesh that is born due to our own creations. Then and it's quite a bruise to the ego that we are actually maintaining it. But then we use the same term rag on the spiritual side. Now, from the yogic perspective, they say samatam yoga uchate. We don't have any attachments, good or bad. We equal up to everything. But on the bhakti side, we have a liking. We're developing a specific rag. So similarly, is there an equivalent dvesh on the spiritual side that is a healthy form or not? Please, can you elaborate on this?
Yeah, dvesh, better you don't get into that, because you will mix that dvesha with your material dvesha. Because we are familiar only with material raga and material dvesha. So now if I say yes, there is a dvesha also, then you will start doing dvesha. So best is that you cultivate only raga, and dvesha will happen naturally. Don't bother about it. But as far as practice is concerned, then we avoid those who are against अनुकूल्यस्य संकल्प प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम. तो प्रतिकूल्यस्य वर्जनम, जो प्रतिकूल है उसको छोड़ना, यही द्वेष है. कोई भगवान की निंदा करता है, गुरु की निंदा.
If somebody criticizes Bhagavan, somebody criticizes Guru, so we should stay away from that. That dvesha is natural. If you have love for somebody, how can you hear his criticism? But if I tell, yeah, you have to do dvesh, then you will bring your material dvesh there.
जी, तो आपने बताया भगवत गीता जब पढ़ते हैं हम समझना भी
So
चाहिए.
question, you said that when we study Gita, we should understand that also. We often read but do not absorb it.
शंकराचार्य जी ने एक भजगोविंद स्तोत्र में भगवत गीता किंचित दीता
In
गंगाजल
Shankaracharya ji, in Bhajgovindam, he says about Gita.
इस शंकराचार्य लिटिल हमारा लिटिल मतलब क्या
When
है?
he says little Gita, what is that little? So little, they answer little this only. If you can understand this one verse itself, what I explained today, if you understand this much itself, then that itself will give so much benefit in your life. So this is kinchit only, this is one verse out of 700.
दिव्यनिताई जी कृपया अपना प्रश्न पूछें.
महाराज जी दंडवत प्रणाम. महाराज जी ये राग द्वेष के बारे में जो
Question.
प्रश्न है कि
So this question about Raga Dvesh.
जैसे हमारे जीवन में जब हम लोग भक्तों के साथ में भी रहते हैं तो
In our life, when we live with
राग
devotees,
एक तरफ देखते हैं कि मैं
so
किसी की निंदा नहीं करनी चाहिए,
one side we see Raga Dvesh, we should not criticize anybody. But on other side, we see that if some devotee is not doing seva properly according to the standard, how do I understand I'm speaking out of Raga Dvesh? Or like we hear that we should speak to defend dharma, but we have to also see that we are not speaking out of Raga Dvesh. How do we discriminate when we should speak, when we should not speak? So answer, so whenever you are working, you have to always check, is it influenced by Raga Dvesh or no? So how do you understand? How do you discriminate? So one simple test is to check that whatever we have raga, when we do that, we get sukha, we get pleasure, and whatever we have dvesha, when we give it up, we feel pleasure. So you have to see when you are finding fault in somebody or criticizing, are you feeling the sense of pleasure within? If yes,
उस द्वेष के कारण ही कर रहे हैं.
then you are criticizing due to the dvesha, and same applies to raga also.
यही देखना क्योंकि
So this is what we have to check,
जो चीज अनुकूल
because
उसमें राग होता
I said that whatever is favorable to us, we have raga for that, and whatever is unfavorable for us, we have dvesh. So when we give up the unfavorable, we get pleasure, and when we acquire the favorable, we get pleasure. When we acquire the unfavorable, we get pain, and when we do not get what is favorable, we get pain. So the test is this, the feeling that we get within of pleasure and pain. What are you feeling? Other person cannot tell that. He may be bewildered thinking that this person is free from raga dvesh. But we should not depend on others, their praise, their criticism. We do not rise or fall by that praise or criticism. We have to check ourselves that when we criticize others, what do we feel within? Or when somebody is criticizing somebody else and I am hearing that, am I getting pleasure or feeling pain, or I feel like going away from that place? That is the test.
महाराज जी जब हम देखते हैं तो फिर जैसे धर्म के कार्य हो रहे हैं कि अच्छी चीजों को सक्सेस
So
मिल रहा है या
question, when we see that when good things are being done for dharma and people are succeeding in actions of dharma, and I feel pleasure for that, and I feel pain when people are doing adharma. So is it ragadvesh? No, that is according to Shastra. First of all, our actions have to be according to Shastra. When we say we should not function by ragadvesh, that means first of all our actions should be according to Shastra. That is the first thing.
कोई धार्मिक कृत्य करता है
So if somebody is doing something according to dharma and we feel happy, that is very good. And if somebody is doing adharma and we feel bad, so yeah, that is also correct, because we should not feel good seeing somebody doing adharma.
जैसे आपने बताया दूसरा सॉल्यूशन जो
So
बताया
another question,
सेवा भाव एक सॉल्यूशन है भक्ति
as you
मार्ग के
said
लिए
that seva bhav is one solution in the path of bhakti. So how do I understand that my seva bhava is increasing? So answer, first of all, you should acquire seva bhav. Acquiring seva bhav itself is a great challenge. I am not telling this to criticize somebody, but acquiring seva bhav is a very, very difficult job. Very advanced, even very, very advanced people, they may also have this defect of not having seva bhav. I am not telling this to criticize, but just to explain to everybody. This seva bhav can be acquired by somebody, only by somebody who is free from ragadvesh. One who has ragadvesh, he cannot do seva, because that person remains implicated in that ragadvesh only. That ragadvesh does not allow that person to do seva. But then we have to start somewhere. It is not that we wait that when they will go away, then only we will start doing seva. That's why we do sadhana. And Sri Rupa Goswami has divided,
तो केवल हम इंद्रियों को
made three
काबू में
categories: sadhana, bhav,
थोड़ी होती
and prem. So,
तो कहीं से आरंभ होगा ना
so we have to begin somewhere, and that is sadhana. Like if you see Ashtanga Yoga, you have to start with asana.
फिर धीरे धीरे
You
प्राणायाम
have to start at the bodily level, then you go deeper to pranayam.
में
First Annamaya, then Pranamaya, then Mano, then you go to Manomaya.
भक्ति में
So similarly in Bhakti, first you start with sadhana,
शरीर से
that is by senses, with body. You do this, that, do so many things that are prescribed. But the goal is to get the bhava, and that comes in the mind.
तो आना वहां पर है तो इसलिए यहाँ
So the
साधना
bhava has to come to the mind. So you have to start with the sadhana.
पहले तो इसको समझना सबसे पहले
So first
समझना
of all, understanding this is essential.
करने का कैसे प्रयास
Until and unless we understand this, we will not ever endeavor genuinely to acquire this. So first we understand this properly, and then we implement what we have learnt with awareness,
देखो यहाँ आरती
continuous awareness.
एक मैं उदाहरण
That, let's say I did this arati,
मंदिर का
I remember,
पुरानी बात है
this is an old story. I was in the temple and there were three altars: Radha Krishna, Jagannath Ji, Gaurnitai,
तीन पुजारी हैं
and three pujaris were there.
ये झगड़ा होगा कि
So
कृष्ण की कौन
they're fighting who will do puja for Radha Krishna.
नहीं ये करना
I will do, you will do. So what does this mean?
तुम आरती कर रहे हो या अपनी आरती कर रहे हो ये
So
बहुत
you are doing arati, or whose arati? Your own arati or Bhagwan's arati? So
देर तक मेरा संकल्प
even if you are blowing the conch, then there is competition. I blew conch for a little longer time. So I'm giving these practical examples. I am not telling all this to criticize anybody. I'm telling just to explain
ये रहता है
that how deep this raga dvesh is. So then you cannot get seva bhav
अहंकार रहे
with all this. So you will have simply have ahankara.
कर रहे हैं
You are leading the kirtan.
कि मैंने कितना बढ़िया कीर्तन लीड किया उस
So you will think like that only. I did better kirtan. I will do kirtan. You will do kirtan. So it does in seva bhav is not like this. Seva bhav does not depend on this.
लीड करें या पीछे रहें भाव जो है आपका भाव है भगवान तो उसी को
Whether you are leading the kirtan or you are going along with the kirtan leader, bhava is bhava. But then you get implicated. We get implicated in all this in the name of transcendental competition.
ट्रांसेंडेंटल कंपटीशन वो डेंटल कंपटीशन ही है
So that is not transcendental competition. There is no trans in that. It is dental competition.
तो ये सूक्ष्म विश्लेषण है बहुत सूक्ष्म विश्लेषण है इसका
So this is a very subtle analysis. So question, on the path of bhakti, when we practice these angas of bhakti, as we keep practicing the angas of bhakti, if we have right association, they should remove our raga dvesh. Or
करेंगे तभी तो
answer, so they will remove your raga dvesh if you are doing that bhakti to remove raga dvesh.
यही तो मैं बता
But then if you are nourishing your raga dvesh by those same angas of bhakti, how will your raga dvesh go away? That's what I am trying to explain.
मंदिर सेवा
People do this kirtan, vigraha seva, temple seva, and all these sevas not to remove raga dvesh, but rather to increase their raga dvesh. And that raga dvesh keeps increasing.
तो आपको यही देखना है कि मैं इनको अपनी सेवा में लगा रहा हूँ भगवान को
So you have to check,
लगा रहा हूँ कि मैं विग्रह की सेवा कर रहा
I am doing seva of vigraha or I am using vigraha for my seva.
हूँ कीर्तन को
I am doing kirtan, I am doing seva of kirtan, or I am using kirtan for my own seva. People should glorify how nicely. Like I am doing giving class on Gita. So am I doing this, giving this class for seva of Bhagavan for devotees, or how many people will glorify me? How nice lecture it was. I never heard this earlier.
कैसा रहा मेरा प्रवचन
And then I ask people,
ताकि लोग मेरे
how was my lecture? So why am I asking? So that people glorify me. So by that lecture, I am simply nourishing my raga and dvesh. I am not doing any seva then. So we have to understand this is all seva. Teaching Shastra is seva. Studying Shastra is seva. We are all sevak, we are servant only.
हमारे जो व्यक्तित्व है
Our entire existence is that of service,
ये दिमाग में
service mentality, service mood.
बैठना नहीं, अंदर बैठना।
So this has this service, this understanding that we are servants, this has to become very deep rooted. Then we can do seva. Unless we have this deep understanding, where is seva?
ऐसे चलते हैं तो, लेकिन हमें इसको
Other then when we don't have this, then we just function mechanically. So we have to at least understand this, because people will praise us. Your class was very nice. So then we have to make ourselves understand that we should remain quiet. The body that we used for giving this class, that body belongs to Bhagavan only. What belongs to me? I use this body to give class, and the body belongs to class. So now if I start taking credit for all this what I do, then I will fall down. But if I remain aware that this is seva, then I will grow. Then bhakti will improve. So bhakti is a bhav. Bhav is very subtle. Bhav cannot be seen.
इसी के कारण जो आरंभ में ही रूप गोस्वामी जी कहते हैं कि
That is why in the beginning only, Sri Rupa Goswami says that bhakti is sudurlabha, very, very rare. Why did he say? He said this because understanding bhakti itself is so challenging. So you have to work very hard to understand bhakti. People say that bhakti is very easy. Bhakti is very easy. I say always that there is nothing more challenging than bhakti. Nothing more difficult than that. If you can understand bhakti theoretically, that itself is a great achievement.
हो गया?
मैंने सुना है कि भक्ति साधकों को दो
Question.
काम करने चाहिए।
I have heard that bhakti sadhakas should do two things. One is awareness towards recognizing their raga dvesh until and unless they get the bhav of seva. And the second is that whatever we do with a service mentality, understanding of seva, not being influenced by raga dvesh, not thinking that this will lead to my glorification, not with the understanding that my guru will praise me, just understanding that I am a servant and it is my dharma to do seva, and I am doing that, and it is my great fortune that I am getting seva.
समझना कि कितना बड़ा सौभाग्य मेरे को मिला है कि मेरे को सेवा करने को मिल रही है।
So you should realize that how fortunate you are getting opportunity for seva, and just remaining happy having received that opportunity, not desiring happiness from anything else. That is anyabhilashita shunyam. If you desire happiness from anything other than the opportunity to get seva, then that is outside the realm of anyabhilashita shunyam. Then that is not bhakti.
प्रश्न है कि क्या यह अंतिम निष्कर्ष है कि हमें
Question,
राग और द्वेष का
is this the final conclusion that we should not respect raga dvesh anymore? Answer, yes.
दीपक जी का प्रश्न है, बाबा जी गुरु महाराज जी कहते थे
Question,
कि सेवा तो
Maharaj ji used to say that seva is service, it is not work. Can you explain this in more detail? Answer, work means like you go to office, you just work there. You can say that is service. People say like that we are serving there, but actually it is not service, it is work, because you complete your job and it is holiday, it's over. But seva means this is my life. This seva is my life. I am not going to run away from that. When your work is over, you feel happy. But in case of seva, you feel happy when you are doing the seva. Not that I am out of seva and now I am free, liberated. We are sevak. And day and night we will do seva only.
परमानंद जी का प्रश्न है, क्या राग तथा
Next
द्वेष
question.
अहंकार में विचरण करते हैं?
Do raga and dvesh dwell in the ahankara? Answer, yes. Next question. When acting in our daily activities, we should add seva mentality into our activities. Does this mean we perform seva with activities we both like and dislike to do, thinking I will use this activity to serve Guru and Krishna?
बिल्कुल यही भाव रखना।
Answer, yes, this is the correct mentality.
प्रश्न है नवदेव जी का। ऐसा प्रतीत होता है कि
Question:
हमें
at times it seems that we must rely solely on our intelligence and determination and discrimination to free ourselves from attachment and aversion. Where does Sri Hari's kripa and karuna come into play in this process? So answer, I said that there are two ways. One is you try from your side, and then there will be kripa also, like Mother Yashoda binds Bhagavan Shri Krishna. So she is doing her effort, and kripa depends on Bhagavan. So kripa is not under your control. You just do what you are supposed to do. When Bhagavan is instructing that remain aware towards your own raga dvesh, try to recognize them, so work accordingly, and kripa is up to him.
मुझे ये अब तक समझ नहीं आया कि आपने
Question:
बताया कि
I did not understand. You said that body is acquired by the mental state.
है या
So mental state comes from the karma phala. Answer: new body is acquired after death. So in this life, whatever karmas you do, they create samskaras or no? So according to those samskaras, you get the next body.
मुझे ये समझ नहीं आता है कि मैं
So
मेरी
what I am not understanding is that when I change my manovritti, so manovritti changes, but there are many types of manovritti. But one is the base, what you have. Like for a bhakta, he may have many vrittis, but his base, his foundational vritti is seva to Bhagavan. He may be doing, so if somebody is a businessman, that is his foundational vritti. So you have to see what is your foundational, your base vritti on which your life rotates. So accordingly, you will get the next body.
भरत जी का प्रश्न है
Next
भाव
question.
से सेवा कार्य होता है या सेवा कार्य से भाव जन्म लेता है?
Bhav, for with bhav we do seva karya, or from seva karya we get bhav? Answer: it works both ways. If you have bhav, you will naturally do seva, and if you do not have bhav, you practice doing seva, that is sadhana. But when you get the bhav, you will just do seva only. What else will you do?
प्रार्थना श्लोक। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा। कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः। यच्छ्रेयः स्यात् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्। यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांघ्रये। भवे भवे यथा भक्तिः पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यतः प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनस्तं नमामि हरिं परम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्।